Shalom, this is Nizama Shalhamadabar Yal on my channel Nizama, the Hebrew Mystic Healer. As always, I'd like to start off by showing a little love to my 3D kin, the 12 tribes of Israel scattered to the four corners of this 3D earth realm. Shalom, much love to you all. Also like to show a little love to my cosmic kin, scattered to the 12 dimensions of this universal egg matrix. Much love and shalom to you as well. And as always, show a little appreciation to my viewers for supporting me, especially those who are subscribed. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so now, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any cool material. So in this video, I'm going to be addressing a topic that was a request made to me by a Facebook friend who wanted to understand more about the Tetragrammaton, what the Tetragrammaton was, and if it was something that they should be dealing with or praying to or aligning with, and whether or not the Tetragrammaton is actually the name of God. Or when I say God, I'm referring specifically to the source creator consciousness from which we all are contained within and emanate out of. So, what is a Tetragrammaton? In order to identify the Tetragrammaton, there's a few books we're going to want to look at. I'm also going to correlate this with my personal intuition and information that I've channeled as well from my soul group. But I highly recommend you read the book, The Witch's God. That will help identify the Tetragrammaton. Also, the Nag Hammadi, which are Gnostic scriptures from early Gnosticism during the Roman Empire. And also, I would say look at the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which also talk about the archons. And then you can do some more research about where that name originated from. So that's kind of the beginning aspect. However, what I want to say for the record is the Tetragrammaton, based on the research I've done and, like I said, my own intuitive channeling and information, is not synonymous with the source creator. The source creator also is not named after the name of the Tetragrammaton, the YHWH consonant. So I just want to put that out there. Now, I do want to say that there are different, as I've said this before, there are different aspects of creator gods. Why? Because technically speaking, we are all creator gods at various levels, and we are all an expression of and contained within the source creator, and each of our soul expressions has its own creative matrix and has created its own reality within that context. I want to make that clear. So there are various levels of quote-unquote small g gods. So I just want to draw that distinction, and I've talked about that in other videos as well, but I just want to make that clear. Now, the Tetragrammaton is the Demiurge. What is the Demiurge? The Demiurge is identified in the Nag Hammadi scriptures probably the most clearly, but these are archonic beings. I have done other videos on archonic beings. Be sure to check them out. The one that'll probably correlate the best with this video would be the Anunnaki are not the archons. Definitely check out that video if you haven't already, and it will help correlate with this video as well. Archons are extra-dimensional parasitic beings that are from the dark abyss dimension. They are very old. They hijacked this particular earth realm during the time of Atlantis. In fact, based on what I have received information from my soul group, that 3D realm did not exist prior to them. It was a co-creation between us falling into ignorance as being creators with the divine spark, as we fell into ignorance through their influence and manipulation during the time of Atlantis, and with their creation as well. In that process, we created this third dimension, which is really a prison matrix for our particular souls to reincarnate in, that they have taken control of in order to feed them, because these particular beings are parasites by nature. Just like parasites in 3D survive by parasiting off a host, this is how these beings survive in an extra-dimensional sense of the word. They parasite off of us through this third dimension. They manipulate us in various ways. So, the Tetragrammaton, let me break down what that actually means. Now, the actual name, Yahuwah or Yahweh or Jehovah, represents, when broken down to different syllables, actually represents the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Also the four faces of the cherubim. This is not the actual source creator. What this is this represents the actual formation of this 3D, of this physical world. Also, the 666 representing the 666 molecular structure of man. So it's not anything woo-woo. It's not, red devil with pitchforks, but that's what it represents. So the Tetragrammaton, if you want to take it from a religious standpoint, is actually more closely associated with what the Christians would call the so-called Satan more than the creator, because the quote-unquote Satan in Christianity is considered the god of this world. Likewise, the Tetragrammaton, or Demiurge, or collection of these archons, they at this point in time are the god of this world. They are running this 3D matrix. They have control over the reincarnation system at this dimensional level. They are manipulating the people that are in control of this earth right now, the so-called elite, and have been manipulating them and their descendants since the fall of Atlantis. These people have bloodline pacts with these beings going all the way back to that time. They're part of that dark brotherhood, and they're still part of that dark brotherhood to this day. And they've had knowledge and information passed down. They do specific blood pact rites, even mass blood pact rites, in order to feed the archons and keep themselves in power. Are they really in power? No, because they're selling their souls, so to speak, to power these archons using us and them in order to have control over a dimension that's really a fallen dimension when you look at it in that perspective, because in this lower dimension, it is more dense and we have far less, power and control over our creative expression than in other dimensions because of what the archons have done. So in a sense, these, illuminous powers have really given up their sovereignty in serving these beings. They're no longer enacting as sovereign creators, and they themselves are becoming parasites and have been for quite some time, requiring to parasite off of the other people on this earth, just like the archons do. So that is just what it is. Now, again, like I said, I threw out some book references you can look into. Now, the actual name, aside from it representing the four elements, it also literally represents, the god of mischief or violence or anger or vengeance, and goes back to the witch's god. This goes back to early Canaanite deities. Even when you look at Yah, it was actually an early Canaanite moon god. So not always the quote-unquote Hebrew god, but was actually adopted later on through cultural fusion. However, again, not the same thing as the source creator. This particular quote-unquote God is really a collective of archonic beings that have been in control since the time of Atlantis. Now, as I mentioned in that video, the Anunnaki, not the archons, is not the same thing as the Anunnaki, which are the ancestral gods of the Hebrews, and it is part of our DNA cosmic lineage. Not the same thing, although many Anunnaki were manipulated and hijacked by these archonic beings as well, which is where the blood sacrifices came into the Bible. Before then, we had the quote-unquote Genesis diet. We ate a plant-based diet, as did the rest of the world during the time of Mu and Lemuria and even early Atlantis. It wasn't until these beings started manipulating the priesthood during that time that blood sacrifices came into the picture and eating of meat. So I just want to kind of put that out there. So these were inserts found in. In fact, you can even look in the Bible itself, and in Jeremiah, the Most High of the Council of the Bible even says, I didn't ask for blood sacrifices, I asked for obedience. They just wanted us to follow the Anunnaki Council laws. So the god, or gods, I should say, of the Bible is really an amalgamation between archonic influence from the Demiurge, the Anunnaki ancestral gods, and the collective consciousness I am of the Hebrew people, which also connects back to the Anunnaki gods, or that high council. So I just want to make that clear. Not the same thing as source. Again, source doesn't ask for blood sacrifices. Source does not demand worship. Source does not want to keep us in 3D. Source is, we are contained within source as the collective consciousness and our expressions of source. So I just wanted to make that clear. The key back to source is connecting with our lineage both in 3D and cosmically, and remembering and recalling. That is the path back to source. The path back to source is not worshiping any being, including the Tetragrammaton. And remember, the Tetragrammaton, aka the Demiurge, wants to keep us in 3D so that they can feed off of us. These beings are not the original creators. They're not even the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were the ones that actually created the universe and the multiverse as commissioned by Source, not the Archons. The Archons are parasites. Parasites don't create. Parasites feed off of the host. They're not even really symbiotic. Even though the elite may feel they are, the elite aren't gaining anything. They're actually losing their divine spark and becoming more like these parasites the longer that they serve them. So I hope that clears up any miscommunication or misunderstanding, and kind of clarifies some of the amalgamations that came place. There's a lot of manipulation that happened to our texts from the priesthood falling into dark sorcery, also from our texts going into the hands of the oppressors, and also from successive cultural fusions that took place over millions of years. So I just want to make that clear. I would discourage anyone from using that name, from calling on that name, or from using any kind of sigil or symbol associated with that name that has the Tetragrammaton name on it, because it is aligned to that deity, opens a portal to those archonic beings. There's more than one, they have a hierarchy, but that's what it is right there. So now, am I saying not to use a hexagram or pentagram for sacred geometric purposes? No, but I wouldn't use anything that has that name on it. The pentagram just symbolizes female. The hexagram symbolizes male. The hexagram also symbolizes the union of male and female, the higher and lower self as one as well. These symbols of themselves are sacred geometric symbols of high science. They're also found within nature. There's nothing evil or bad about them. But again, I personally wouldn't deal with the Tetragrammaton because I don't deal with archonic beings, and they are connected to the Archons or the Architect or the Demiurge. So I just wanted to put that out there. I hope this video helps clear a lot up, a lot of misconceptions out there. May not resonate with everyone, but like I always say, take what resonates, leave the rest. I'll try to drop down some more information for resources you can research in the drop down menu. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care and shalom.